So let us start by learning why we would need to call in the help of JavaScript in the Blazor application, and also how we can do that then. I think it's easy to understand that although we can create rich experiences in Blazor, in the end they're just web applications. With Blazor WebAssembly, we can run the app directly in the browser just like a single page app that one might build using Angular or React. No matter how you look at it, it is still a web app, but written with HTML, but backed by C# instead of JavaScript. But since nothing more than a web app is running natively in the browser, it also means that JavaScript also will still work fine in that app too. Although we can already build really nice things with Blazor, its API can't do everything that is currently possible with JavaScript. There are quite a few things which are possible in the browser-based app for which there is no Blazor API. At least not yet. Does this mean we are stuck? Well, the good news is, no, we're not stuck. Blazor comes with the ability to do JavaScript interop, and like the name is saying, it's going to allow us from C# code to invoke JavaScript functions. So if you have already written an existing JavaScript library, you can just add it to the app and invoke it from your Blazor app. Similarly, you can interact with native JavaScript APIs, such as the local storage from a Blazor app. That is what the local storage plugin did, but it wrapped this behavior. What you need is some JavaScript that you can then invoke and call from the Blazor app. That's it. This of course extends the reach of a Blazor app quite a lot and will make sure that there won't be a scenario that you can't perform using Blazor. Keep in mind, this is all happening in browser, so the actual JavaScript is also running on the client machine. Blazor code will interact with it. The JavaScript code will be loaded by the surrounding page, be that the HTML page or the host.cshtml in our setup. When we talk about JavaScript interop in Blazor, most often we'll talk about the .NET calls JavaScript direction. We can from Blazor code invoke JavaScript code that is loaded and that can then perform tasks not natively possible from Blazor. But in fact, the other way also works, so JavaScript invoking .NET, so Blazor code. In that approach, what we have is that perhaps a JavaScript component on the surrounding page will trigger an action in Blazor. We will, for the sake of simplicity in this course, focus on the first type of interop, but it's good to know that the other direction also works. Alright, let's see how we can get this interop to work. As we have done already quite a few times in this course, let's start by listing out the steps to make things click. I mentioned already there will be a call from our Blazor code to JavaScript code. So there must be a script that is loaded into the browser. That we will do from the surrounding page, so that index.html or the host.cshtml. Indeed, if you have several scripts we'll need to call, all of these will need to be loaded in the surrounding page. Then, to interact with JavaScript, Blazor comes with the RJS runtime. This interface is included in Blazor by default, but to work with an instance of it, we'll need to go through dependency injection again. If you want to get access to an RJS runtime instance, we'll need to use the inject attribute again, which indicates to Blazor that we'll want an instance to be injected here. Once we have that, we can now invoke a function in the script from our Blazor code. The JavaScript function we want to invoke needs to be available from within the Blazor application. We can choose to include the script in the www root folder and reference the file from the surrounding page. Alternatively, we can place this script in line 2. Here you can see on the window object I've defined a function called doSomething. That'll be the script code, the function I'll want to invoke. Next, we need to inject in the component from where we want to invoke the JavaScript code, the IJS runtime. That is already present in the services collection, so the DI container. We don't need to register any extra services ourselves. Then in the component code, once we have the instance through DI, we can use it to invoke the JavaScript function. That's what you see happening here. On the IJS runtime instance, I'm now calling invoke async, passing in the name of the function we'll want to invoke. In the JavaScript function itself, we can then expose whatever JavaScript functionality we want and thus invoke it through our Blazor code. The IJS runtime offers two methods we can use in this context. The invoke void async is typically used when we're doing more a fire and forget towards JavaScript, towards a JavaScript function that we are invoking. It's void, we're not expecting anything back from JavaScript. If, however, we expect something to come back, we'll use the invoke async method. One important note here, when can we work with JavaScript interop in the lifecycle of a component? We will see in the demo JavaScript interop where JavaScript code interacts with the Blazor UI component. In order for this to work correctly, we need to be sure that the Blazor component has loaded correctly. And for that, we have the onAfterRenderAsync method, a method part of the component lifecycle. Indeed, that is the correct point where we should place this code.